All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. It is 8 o'clock, so we're going to get rolling here. So I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Just the routine stuff first. So let me make sure that this is true before I say it. Alrighty, the Q&A portion of the Hangout is turned on the right-hand side. There is a delay between when you submit your questions and when I see them. So if you have any questions, please don't wait till the very end. But as always, I'm more than happy to answer your questions at any time. So don't worry. Just give me a second here. I'm just kind of adjusting. There. You can see my shiny head. All right. I have some lengthier topics that I'd like to discuss tonight, so I'm going to get into them. And what I'm going to do for next week is, with the holiday in the U.S. being Thanksgiving, and my availability will be kind of limited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a video related to eating for the holidays that will apply to Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, that type of thing. And I'll record that in advance, and I'll make it available to everyone on Wednesday, and you can watch it at your convenience, just to let you know. All right, so the first thing that I want to mention is a tip that I've been utilizing myself in dealing with hunger. One of the most common things that I get is I'm hungry when I eat this level of calories. What do I do? So I'm not normally a fan of snacking. For me, snacking means something like, oh, I'll eat a little bit, a handful of almonds between meals. That just makes me hungrier. But in cases where, hold on. Okay. So I said I'm not normally one for snacking, but in cases where I'm exceptionally hungry and I'm not going to make it to a meal before I get hangry, I've been having a piece of fruit to extend the time between meals. So there's a specific reason that this works, and I'm going to go into details first, and then I'll simplify. The details I'm quoting from the nutrition author, Lyle McDonald. His information is some of the information that got me started on my own journey as far as the specifics of how do you lose weight, the mechanics of it. So this is quoting him, and like I said, this is going to be the long-winded explanation first, and then I'll simplify for you. So to quote him, one aspect of hunger has to do with the status of liver glycogen, when the liver glycogen is emptied, a signal is sent to the brain that can stimulate hunger. The corollary is that replenishing liver glycogen tends to make people feel fuller. The fructose component of fruit, which is the sugar in fruit, works to refill liver glycogen, and folks who include a moderate amount of fruit in their weight loss diets often report feeling much less hungry. That's in addition to the other benefits of fruit, such as the fiber and nutrients. Oh yeah, and eat the whole fruit, not just the juice. Stay away from the fruit juice. So I'm going to simplify that. The other part of that was that he went on to comment that it's ironic that your standard bodybuilding bro diets tend to eliminate fruit, which is kind of silly given that if you're reducing your calories, you want to feel as full as possible, as long as possible, and that fruit is one of the best ways to do that. So to simplify that, when you eat carbs, you store them in your muscles, and you store a little bit in your liver. So if you run out of carbs in your liver, your brain gets the hungry signal. The types of carbs in fruit, which is basically fruit sugar or fructose, fills up the carbs in your liver first and basically tops off your hunger levels. So it's very possible that even if you haven't eaten in a while, having a piece of fruit and waiting a minute will let you turn off the hunger signal and let you extend your time to your next meal and give you an energy boost as well. So this is a huge reason why I recommend including fruit in your daily food choices. So if you're currently battling being hungry, eat more fruit. I'm a big fan of bananas and apples, and that's due to their portability and cost. I think I just got a 5-pound bag of Fuji apples, and I think it was $6 at Sam's Club. And same also at Sam's Club, 3 pounds of bananas are $1.50. Or even less than that. So you can't really beat that for cost, for portability, and I think they taste really great. The other thing I want to mention is that this kind of came up in group discussion regarding weighing fruit. Someone asked, well, how do I weigh a banana? I'd rather you not weigh a banana. Go off of one standard. So for example, I use bananas at 110 calories. Some days I'm going to have a banana that's smaller than that. Some days I'm going to have a banana that's more than that. What's important is that over time it's going to average out. That's the law of averages. Same with apples. Yeah, sometimes you might get an apple that's a really tiny apple. Yeah, sometimes you might get an apple that's bigger than your fist. Don't worry about it. You should be eating enough fruit that over time the averages will work out and it's not a big difference. You should not be the type of person that's cutting up your fruit and weighing it compulsively every single day. If you're overeating because of fruit, something else needs to change, not the fruit consumption amounts. So that's why I'm not really big on obsessively tracking your fruits and vegetables. If you're cutting out calories and you're not tracking fruits and vegetables, you'd still eat the same number of fruits and vegetables. You would just find somewhere else to take those calories from. And I think that's an important concept to have in dieting when you're trying to lose weight, in that you're going to build up your habits around it so that you're eating lots and lots and lots of plants. Eventually, if you need to bring your calories so low to a point where you're feeling incredibly hungry, you're still going to be eating a large volume of food that's mostly plants. And that's okay, because guess what? The corollary to that is that that's great for your health too. So it's a win-win situation. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'm going to be traveling forward being in the car for long trips, and I tend to, that's the only time I tend to snack is when I'm in the car. And to battle that, I'm not going to fight the tide. I'm going to instead eat fruit, and that'll keep me full, and it'll help me deal with that problem instead of eating a bunch of crap in the car. So, all right. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, and I've already mentioned this to some of you in private, is the importance of self-love and having your goals be positively oriented. I was recently reading something that another coach whose work I respect posted, and he was saying that he noticed a huge difference as far as the success levels between people with positive and negative goals. And in retrospect, thinking about it, I noticed the same thing, and I was just talking to someone about this today, that the success between them is huge. The difference in success is huge. Someone with positive goals tends to be successful. Someone with negative goals, some people will succeed, but it's pretty unlikely from what I've seen and what this other coach has seen. So a positive goal is where someone picks a goal that excites them. For example, I want to lose weight because I'll feel awesome, because I'll have more energy to do the things that matter to me. Once I lose X amount of pounds, I can go hiking or I can go skiing better. It won't tire me out. Those types of things. The things that you're excited about that you'll be able to do, or that you'll start feeling along the way. It gets you excited about the process, about the journey, about the goal. Everything is positive. So a negative goal would be one where you're setting it because you're focused on not liking who you are and where you are. For example, I want to lose weight because I hate being fat and I feel awful and I hate it and none of my clothes fit and I hate it. That's a negative goal. By setting a positive goal, you're accepting yourself as you are, loving who you are, respecting what your body can do, and this puts you and your body on the same team. So when you do this and you eventually make mistakes, as we all do, no one's perfect, you'll accept the fact that you're not perfect and you're going to make mistakes, but you'll learn from those mistakes and you'll keep going forward. So this is the flexible mentality towards fitness and towards life in general that we should be aiming for. Towards flexibility, away from all or nothing mentality, away from perfection. If you don't accept yourself, love yourself, or respect your body, you'll likely be trapped in that all or nothing mentality forever until you do. The result is that when you mess up, you're going to feel like punishing yourself. You're going to feel regret, and you'll do that instead of moving forward and learning from it. This keeps you in that endless cycle that's getting you no closer to your goals. Yes, you can reasonably change the scale number in the short term with a negative goal. What happens is when you mess up and you are caught in that all or nothing mentality and you try to be perfect, but you're not, because no one's perfect, you just go back to the old way you're doing it and you're in a cycle. You lose weight, you regain it. You lose weight, you regain it. And I believe that's tied to your mentality. Is it all or nothing, or is it flexibility? The other thing is that yes, okay. So if you make the change to accept who you are, it has to be because you care about yourself and you want to do better, not because all you want to do is lose weight. And the other difference that I'd like to bring up in regard to between the positive goals and negative goals is that the people that are working towards positive goals and are excited about them tend to focus on the process, to trust the process, and to be okay with their life changing towards their goals. People that are hyper focused on being perfect and an all or nothing mentality, hyper focused on the numbers. The scale matters to them the most. So when the scale goes up, they're sad. When the scale goes down, they're happy. But guess what? The scale is going to go up and down and fluctuate naturally, even if you're doing everything correctly. Sorry, I think that was a motion activated kid toy that didn't like me moving my arms up and down. It's kind of like a trap around here. They're everywhere. Sorry. So as I was saying, if you're stuck in that all or nothing mentality, you tend to hyper focus on the numbers rather than trusting the process and letting the process work for you over time as a background process. And that's really not going to work for the long term, even if it does work in the short term. All right. That covers the second thing I wanted to talk about. Okay. And the third and final thing that I wanted to speak on this evening is that I wanted to discuss something that kind of hits really close to home for me, and it's come up for me rather recently. I've been working through a book called The Power of Now, and rather than living too much in the past or too far in the future. I found myself projecting a little too far into the future and not being as present in the now as I wanted. I was a little bit caught up in constantly checking my cell phone, constantly checking my emails, and ignoring what was happening right now. And I didn't like that about myself. And as a result of listening to this book as an audiobook, it's been incredibly helpful. So I'd highly recommend this book or audiobook to anyone. Again, it's The Power of Now. So I have a really sensitive bullcrap detector. And I was incredibly skeptical going in, especially with the way the book starts. I thought, this is some new age hippie BS. This isn't for me. This just kind of feels off. But I stuck it out, and I can honestly say that it's both made a difference for me almost immediately, and that it also helped me realize something about my own journey that I must have done instinctively from the beginning. So real quick, the thing that helped me immensely is that I have this tendency to focus on answering emails immediately, and that goes for my programming job, and when I'm working with people to help them with their weight loss, is that I just feel this compulsive need to just answer emails immediately. And sometimes it's to ignoring everything else going on around me, and it's like a cause of anxiety sometimes. So this has kind of helped me refocus, and as I have probably told everyone else, is that sometimes when you slow down and prioritize things that matter the most, you can do the things you have to do better, because you'll have more energy and focus when you do actually need to do them. So that's something that I've been working on, and this has made a significant difference for me. So back to this topic of how this made me realize some things about my own journey. One of the primary things that stuck out to me was that much of our identity is wrapped up in our past and our habits, good and bad. So our ego defends itself at any cost, so that when anything threatens our identity, the ego counterattacks violently. That doesn't have to be physical violence, but just, it reacts and attacks. So this results in us resisting change, because at the core of that, the ego does not want to change, even if consciously we want it to. So this does happen subconsciously. It's possible that you may be wondering why you can never make the changes that you want to consciously. It may be that your subconscious ego is holding you back and holding on to the past, and you're not even aware of this. So I recently identified that one of the reasons I was able to make those lifestyle changes and stick with them is that I had hit bottom so incredibly hard that I pretty much gave up. Now, I don't mean I gave up on life, but I gave up on letting go of my ego, letting go of my stubbornness, and letting go of my reluctance and sense of unfairness about certain things. So in doing so, I was able to take what was unconscious and become aware of it, make it conscious, and let go of that part of my identity. And what I mean by that is, since I was fat my entire life up until the age of 28, I'm 35 now, part of my identity to everyone else that I knew was that I was the fat, funny guy. I was the nice guy. Because of that, I was the fat, funny, nice guy that girls would love to talk to but would never want to date. All of that was wrapped up in my identity. I was known for being able to eat mass quantities of food, so it was fun to have eating contests with people because I would always win, and people knew that about me, or that I could outdrink anyone. You know, being over 400 pounds, you can certainly put away a lot of beer. In college, I probably wasn't 400 pounds, but well over 300, and I had the nickname Chug because I could consume alcohol in quantities well beyond what anyone else could and barely faze me. So I was basically the morbidly obese version of Frank the Tank from the movie Old School. It's a Will Ferrell movie. He's a character in that movie. So if you've seen it, I was basically the fat version of that. I believe that I was different in that I was still healthy even though I was fat. That I had a strong heart, and it didn't matter if my blood pressure was going up or I was probably pre-diabetic, I was still healthy. I believed I was really strong and that I had lots of muscle underneath all that fat, and I was big boned. I believed all those things. Deep down, I believed that it wasn't fair that other people could eat whatever they wanted to and barely exercise, and they'd still be in shape or still wouldn't be fat or as fat as I was. I believed that that was just totally unfair, and that I wallowed in self-pity because of that. Deep down, I believed that I'd always be fat because I hated cardio, I hated vegetables, I hated diets, and I'm one of the laziest people alive. That was basically who I was at that point in time. Some of these were conscious beliefs. Some of these, many of these, most of these were subconscious beliefs. They were so entrenched into my personality and my identity and what I felt that they poisoned all of my attempts at changing and losing weight. So after more than, I'd say, 15 years of trying and failing, I finally hit bottom so hard that I just surrendered. I gave up protection of this identity because I realized it was poisoning me. When I say hit bottom, I mean, like, you know, it hurt to be alive. I honestly thought that I felt like I was going to die. I couldn't walk without being in pain. Personal hygiene started to become complicated. I was starting to outgrow the clothing sizes at big and tall stores, that type of thing, where I felt like I was dying, but I didn't give up on life. I just surrendered my ego. I said, you know what? This identity is poison. It's not who I am. It doesn't define me, but it's defining the direction my life is going in, and I'm done with it. I can't do this anymore. I need to change, and I give up. This identity isn't me anymore. Goodbye. And I dropped it. So the subconscious thoughts became conscious, and in doing so, I was able to remove them. So once you recognize and understand that part of your identity is wrapped up in these things in your past and your bad habits, but they don't define you, they don't have to define you. Once you recognize and understand that, you bring them closer to the surface. You'll have to still face them and deal with them and work through them, and it's going to be work and it's going to be pain, and it's not going to be easy. You still have to face those demons. But now that you're aware of them, you now have power over them, and it's something that you're going to have to work on. And I can try to help you through that. But if you found yourself stuck in that cycle of never being able to lose weight and move forward, your identity and how you identify yourself with your past and who you've been up to this point may be what's stopping you from going forward. I don't think it's a knowledge deficit. You know that you need to eat better and eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise more. And you know that there are ways to make that happen and fit it into your life, but you still have to figure out what is holding you back and keeping you in that cycle. And that's a deeply personal journey, and I would love to be a part of that with you, but at some point it is going to require you to look inside yourself, which I can't do for you, and bring some of that stuff up to the surface so we can talk about it. So all right, that was everything I had for this evening. Like I mentioned, I'm going to record a video for next week at some point that's about eating for the holidays, making a plan for the holidays. And I will post that for you next week. And I'll talk to everyone soon. Everyone have a good night. Thank you.